3, 2, 1.
Hi everyone, I'm Veronica Koman. I'm Indonesian human rights lawyer in exile here because of my West Papua work. My pronouns are she, her. I am a Chinese ethnic minority from Indonesia. I am not a West Papuan. And before I start, I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land that we are today, the people of Dibenci, and I'd like to pay respect to the elders past and present and acknowledge the ongoing racism, colonization, dispossession, and because this is the same story of West Papua basically. And so I'd like to start with Isaac's presentation earlier about media. So all of you here don't hear much about West Papua. It's because West Papua is one of the most restricted places on the earth, and this is reflected by, recognized by many international NGOs and the UN. And so international journalists and organizations are practically banned from entering West Papua, and the condition of local journalists, they are all often being subjected to intimidation and attacks. And for the mainstream media based in Jakarta, the capital of Indonesia, are very colonial and very lazy. They just copy-pasted the press release by Indonesian authorities when something happened in West Papua, if any. Even published at all. So that's the situation. That's why you are not hearing much at all. And it really works, right? It really works. It's really, we don't know what's happening there. And that's why it's been my own personal mission to raise awareness about what's actually happening in West Papua. In Indonesian education system, we are brainwashed on three main issues. The first one, that the history of Timor-Leste. Until today, most Indonesians will think that, look at the poor Timorese, they have become very poor since being separated from Indonesia. So second biggest history is the crimes against humanity against the communists back in 1965. One of the biggest killings in history. And the third one was Papua. So in our history book, we were taught, Indonesian children were taught that how heroic our founding fathers were liberating West Papuans from the Dutch. But apparently, after I hung out with West Papuans for a while, I found out that precise moment was deemed by most West Papuans as the beginning of colonization and invasion. So and that's why I am very, annoying for Indonesian because I have the other version. And because Kakak George already explained about the history, I'll just go briefly to emphasize the bit of history of why West Papua is also a fight for the left. So the land of Guinea, so I come from Sydney here, so I've been living on the land of Gadigal people of your nation, colonially known as Sydney. And so I come here from Sydney. It's from Cairns to West Papua is closer to from Cairns to Sydney. Can you imagine that? It's so close, yet we are hearing Fakol about West Papua, and it's so the land of New Guinea is divided by imperial line at that time when all the imperial wars divide territories. So become Papua New Guinea and West Papua. And West Papua is further divided by colonial lines by Indonesia to divide and conquer. And I will go into more detail later because there's currently just this year there has been a new settler colonialism project in building more lines in colonial lines in West Papua. So and yeah, about the brief history. So in 1961, West Papua already have their own national anthem, national flag, national parliament. 2 weeks later, the heroic Indonesia liberating, aka invaded West Papua. And in 1960, long story short, that 1962 there was an international agreement that later on Indonesia will oversee the plebiscite, one person, one vote. Well, it technically says one man, one vote, but I rephrase it, one person, one vote, at that time to be conducted later on. In 1967, Indonesia signed an agreement with the US. In 1967, Indonesia signed an agreement with the US Freeport will have a Grasberg mine, the largest gold mine in the world, in West Papua. In 1969, the plebiscite took place. So it was promised from the international treaty that one person, one vote. At that time, the population roughly 800,000 people, but the plebiscite only 1,026 people handpicked and under gunpoint to choose Indonesia. Of course, because 2 years before, Indonesia already promised the gold in West Papua to the US. And so this is why it's freaking hard to fight for West Papua, because we are also fighting the US. It's about imperial power in West Papua. And it's just Freeport. I haven't even gone to the BP and like all the new colonial corporations operating in West Papua. And so yeah, that's why it's freaking hard. And yeah, it comes with military operations. And now I will go to the now, the second part and the last part of my speech today, the now. So initially, Indonesia divided the land of West Papua into 2 provinces, and recently they added 3 more provinces. So during from the first division, the land into 2, in those 20 years, West Papuans have become minority in their own land. There was at that time by dictator Suharto, there was official settler colonialism project. Like people, Indonesians were put in West Papua, and then all the story. And recently it's been added 3 more. And so it will, this new administration, new provinces, means new money will attract more migrants to come, more settlers to come. And in establishing new province, it means new police headquarters, it means new military headquarters, it means new government offices, which will attract more public servants because classic impact of colonization that people are marginalized, and the low level, the deliberate level low of education. In Papua, you can think of any statistic, the worst will be in West Papua. The lowest rate of education, the highest rate of maternity deaths, and like the highest case of HIV/AIDS, and like name it. The worst will be, you will find it in West Papua. It's deliberate colonization. And where was I? And yeah, so yeah, it will. So the new settlers will marginalize West Papuans, like Kaka just mentioned earlier, where the small West Papuan mothers, small traders, they sell the classic betel nuts, and like for example the betel nuts or the cassava. And now these settlers, with their capitals and more, I guess, business literate, they're also saying the same things. That was Kaka George was referring to. So like in all aspects, like if you go to West Papua, if you can, because it is technically, if you're a foreigner, it's a no-go zone. And so once you arrive in West Papua in the airport, you will see that all those standing behind the desk at the airport are settlers. And when you go outside the airport, in the parking area or the quarter, then you will see the indigenous Papuans. So marginalized like that.
3, 2, 1.